So good morning, and thank you for joining us. My name is Bob Duncan. I have the distinct pleasure of serving as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Connecticut Children's. Believe it or not, this week we celebrate Thanksgiving, and the shopping season is upon us. And as our state's only freestanding children's hospital exclusively dedicated to children, we at Connecticut Children's feel a deep responsibility to support families so that their celebration with friends, family, and loved ones are happy, safe, and healthy. We know that injuries are the #1 reason why kids are hurt or killed every year, and the vast majority of these injuries are preventable. So in order to make our vision a reality, we have to be leaders in not only taking care of kids when they need us after they're injured or harmed, but preventing injuries from happening in the first place. The Injury Prevention Center here at Connecticut Children's is dedicated to ensuring that kids in our state stay safe and healthy and injury-free. Our injury prevention team accomplishes this through safety research, community programs, educating our state's physicians and healthcare providers on the best ways to talk to families about preventing injuries and safety, and importantly, advocating for and supporting policies that keep children safe. It is now my great pleasure to introduce a national leader, one who during this week I can especially say we're thankful for in protecting the health, well-being, and safety of children and families, and a wonderful longtime friend of Connecticut Children's. Please welcome U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you. Thank you all. I am again proud to be at Connecticut Children's. This is a place where miracles are performed, literally medical miracles to save children's lives. And if I ever had the need for the kind of extraordinary care provided here, this would be my first choice to take my 4 children. Fortunately, I've never had that circumstance, but this place does such magnificent work for the children of Connecticut and the nation. And so I'm especially pleased to be here to help prevent the kind of sometimes catastrophic injuries that can come during this time of joy and celebration. It should be a time of joy and celebration, but too often it results in trips to emergency rooms when children are hurt by toys that are meant for their joy. And these injuries are absolutely preventable. They are all preventable. And what we need first and foremost is parents and caregivers who pay attention. But they also need help. All too often on sites, Facebook, Marketplace, and eBay, there are dangerous toys that have been recalled. Let me repeat. PIRG found 30 toys on that site, Facebook, Marketplace, that have been recalled. Facebook Marketplace is responsible for about 75% of all the toys sold that have been recalled. The other major source is eBay. They both have the power, the technology, to stop those sales. I have called on Facebook Marketplace repeatedly in April of 2019, in May of 2020, in March of this year, writing to Mark Zuckerberg demanding that they stop the sale of recalled toys, and so far they have utterly failed to do so. That is a searing indictment of Facebook Marketplace, of Mark Zuckerberg, of eBay, and of any site that sells recalled toys, because they are in effect complicit. They are aiding and abetting the kinds of injuries that occurred as a result of recalled toys doing damage to children. There's a reason why these toys have been recalled. They are safety threats. They put children at risk. And so these 30 toys, and they're only the tip of the iceberg, found by the Connecticut Public Interest Research Group, should be a warning to all consumers that we need these recalled toys off the site. Let me say also that some of these products have small batteries. This watch, for example, has batteries that make it run. Those batteries, when ingested, can cause suffocation and internal injuries because the batteries adhere to the throat. They burn through the membranes of the throat, and they can cause lasting injury or death. We've had one here in Connecticut, and fortunately, we now have a law. It's called Reese's Law. It's named after Reese Hamsmith, who was actually killed by these small batteries, button batteries as they're called. And the law was signed by the president after we introduced it. But parents should beware of small parts like those button batteries or magnets that will stick together if ingested. They will stick together inside the digestive system, causing severe injury when they constrict the flow of food and so forth. These kinds of weapons are certainly a bad example for kids, but they're also potentially inherently dangerous in and of themselves in firing projectiles that can cause damage. And finally, let me draw attention to the one that I use every year, because every year it kills kids. Balloons are absolutely wonderful as a source of celebration. We all have them at birthday parties, at holiday celebrations, but when they are burst, and I'm going to try to do this. This year I do not have a pin. The remnants of these balloons are potential killers. They can cause suffocation, a baby or a child crawling on the floor, into the mouth, swallowed. That's a trip to the emergency room. The balloons are great. The deflated or burst balloons are a menace. And every year, kids die, and untold numbers go to emergency rooms because they are ingested. So I warn about them every year. Parents, caregivers can save lives every year if they stop leaving these remnants on the floor. No problem with balloons. It's the remnants of the balloon that are dangerous. So I think parents and others deserve more information, not less. It's the reason why I've introduced the Sunshine in Product Safety Act, which would enable the Consumer Product Safety Commission to provide more information on recalled toys. As I said at the beginning, and I'll say now at the end, recalled toys are potentially a menace. That's why they are under recall. That's why they are supposed to be returned. And when they're sold on the internet without sufficient warning, without the Consumer Product Safety Commission giving consumers the information they need, and without Facebook Marketplace or eBay doing the due diligence that they should do as a matter of moral responsibility, parents and caregivers need that help, and children ultimately are the ones who suffer. So with that, let me introduce the one who really saves children, Dr. Stephen Rogers.
I'm going to do some introductions for them. So
Okay.
thank you, Senator Blumenthal. We appreciate that. Now I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Amy Watkins, Director of Safe Kids here at Connecticut Children's, which is housed within our Injury Prevention Center. So Amy, take it away.
Good morning and happy Thanksgiving. So as the Senator mentioned, the U.S. PIRG does some of this research for us to tell us each year what the most dangerous toys are. And that U.S. PIRG report that's released is called Trouble in Toyland, and it's an excellent guidance for us when it comes to toy safety during the holidays. So toys are safer now than they have been in years past. In 2010, there were 250,000 toy-related injuries, and in 2020, it was down to 198,000. So we're moving in the right direction, but there's still some very dangerous situations out there. I'm going to share with you some tips that we learned from this year's Trouble in Toyland report. So the first is to use caution when buying online. As the Senator mentioned, although it is illegal to sell a recalled product, you can find recalled products online at the various marketplaces. So remember to only buy from trusted sellers. Counterfeit toys might not meet the U.S. safety standards. Know how to look up recalls. Recalls could be made because a toy has small parts that can pose a choking hazard. Maybe they are toxic, flammable. They could cause a strangulation or a cut or a fall. So you can visit Consumer Product Safety Commission's website and find out if any toys that you are interested in purchasing are recalled. Be aware of age labels. It's easy to forget the label on the packaging, and we know many parents will give a toy that's intended for an older child to a younger child, but that can result in injury. Many injuries result from toys that are not necessarily dangerous to children if they're the proper age, but can be very dangerous to a younger sibling. So be sure each child only has access to the toys that are marked for their age. Read warning labels. Injuries and deaths have occurred with balloons swallowed, with stuffed animals in a baby's sleep environment, and with non-motorized riding toys. So none of these items are in and of themselves dangerous, but you want to look at all labels and heed all warnings and use with supervision. For choking hazards, you could find something like this. This is a small parts tester. Again, with the balloons, they're lovely and fun, but they can pose a choking hazard. And you can test items and toys to see if they will block a child's windpipe. If you don't have something like this, you can use a toilet paper roll from the bathroom. As mentioned, keep button batteries away from children. They're in a lot of our devices, they're in toys, they're really kind of ubiquitous these days, but they can be very dangerous if swallowed. They can cause serious tissue damage, they can result in needing surgery and even death. So keep those button batteries out of all children's hands. And avoid toys with the high-powered magnets. As demonstrated, they are very dangerous when they're ingested, and though we have new federal standards that require magnets that can become loose that be too large, or if they're too large, either too large to swallow, excuse me, or have a weakened magnetic force. So make sure that you are being cautious when you're buying any toys that have magnets. They can cause, again, holes in the intestines and require surgical intervention, so very, very dangerous. A new threat is connected toys, web-connected toys. So when toys are connected to the internet, you have to think about things like the audio and video and the personal data that can be transmitted by these devices. Web-enabled toys could leave you open to an invasion of your privacy. People could gain access to that audio and video. So read the terms and conditions, supervise the use of the toy, and make sure that it's off when it's not in use. So overall, toys are safe and they're fun for children, but being aware of the possible dangers and being active to prevent those can save a child from injury or death. When you buy your child a gift or your child receives a gift, there are some questions you can ask yourself. Does this toy have parts that can easily break off and that a child could place in their mouth, or could create a sharp point that could poke or cut a child? Do the toys have an age label? If it's an electric toy, is it UL approved? And is the battery component secure? Thank you, and have a happy holiday season.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. As a parent, spending time with my kids is always the highlight of my holidays. But as a pediatric emergency medicine physician here at Connecticut Children's, I also know that about 200,000 kids are seen in emergency departments for toy-related injuries every year. And I also know that half of those kids are under the age of 5. All of these injuries are preventable. So please, parents, this year, we all need to make sure that our kids are safe. We need to follow some basic guidelines when picking gifts and toys for our kids. One, we need to follow those age warnings on toys, especially for our youngest kids. We need to make sure our youngest and most vulnerable kids do not have access to toys that may be a choking hazard. We need to inspect the toys that you give to all your children and make sure that there's no hazards for them or their siblings, especially the younger ones. 3, if you get your child a riding toy, they need to get a helmet with it. So if they're going to get a scooter, a bike, even roller skates, they need to have the appropriate safety equipment to go with it, and we need to make sure that they're using it in a safe place, away from traffic. Number 4, avoid magnetic toys. Every year, kids die from magnetic toy-related injuries, so I would avoid them altogether. Finally, when shopping online, as we've heard earlier, we need to make sure that toys are safe before we order them and make sure that they're not recalled. So please check recalls.gov or go to the Consumer Product Safety Commission website and make sure that the toys you're buying are safe. So if we all follow these basic guidelines, we can lower the risk of injury this holiday season. And I'd like to close as I have in the past. This holiday season, the best gift you can give your child is to slow down and spend time with them, because that's what they'll remember when the toys are all gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy and Dr. Steve Rogers, for your leadership, your expertise, your talents and skills sharing this morning, but in what you do every day to protect and take care of our kids. I'd like to close by thanking Senator Blumenthal for your leadership and what you do for our country and the championship you've displayed for our kids and families. If we had more champions like you, this world would be a better place. So thank you for what you do. Although this is my first Trouble in Toyland event, I am told, Senator Blumenthal, that you have been leading this effort even back into your Attorney General days. So thank you for, again, that leadership. And I'd like to thank each of you for joining us and being here today. And just remember to have a wonderful, thankful holiday, and that safe kids are no accident. Thank you. And now we'll open it up for media questions if you'd like.
I had a question, maybe this one's for Senator Blumenthal, but just was wondering the status of the Informed Consumers Act. I think you mentioned it here, and where that stands and where that needs to go.
The Inform Act, I'm a leading supporter of it, has been referred to committee. It would require disclosure by the online sellers of certain information about the specific sellers of these products and enable consumers to learn more about them. But I want to come back to the more immediate and basic task, which is to stop the sale of these recalled products, which Facebook Marketplace and eBay and all of the sites could do right now. There is public information about every one of these recalled toys. They could stop the sale of them right now simply by going to that list and going through what's being sold on their sites and stopping it. Now, the Inform Act would provide information to them and to the public about the mass sellers. In other words, the marketers who use the sites for mass sales of recalled products or other products that may be dangerous. And the INFORM Act is a very important measure in that regard. It's been referred to the Commerce Committee where I sit, and its prospects this session are probably somewhat problematic because we don't have enough time left, but we'll pursue it again during the coming session.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Maybe just in recent years, whether it was last holiday season, what were maybe the most common, I think you've mentioned a lot, but maybe top 1, 2 of those hazards that kids have unfortunately come across, and what you've noticed, whether at Connecticut Children's or other children's hospitals?
So we've seen it all, but certainly. So we see all types of injuries, but certainly choking hazards are probably one of the most threatening injuries when it comes to kids, and then the magnetic toys can really be a problem as well.
Anyone else?
You know, I would just say, I know these numbers may be maybe in the report. I think they are in the report, but the numbers on balloons are staggering. Balloons are a killer when they are deflated or broken and then ingested. They are literally one of the very top repeaters every year. And so if parents just paid attention to ingesting small parts, magnets, balloons, they could save a lot of trouble.
Anything else? If not, we'll close, and I just again like to thank you for taking your time out of your busy season to be here, and wish each of you a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday season. Thank you.
Thanks to Connecticut Children. Thank you.
Thank you. Always appreciate you.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, this is about my 25th or 26th. I'm not sure how many.
That's awesome. I've told Jane how wonderful it is to move to this state and have champions like yourself. That's remarkable. I mean, it's just so refreshing. So refreshing. We just need to clone several of you. So thank you so much.
What we need to clone is Dr. Rogers.
Yeah, I'm working on that too. I'm working on that. That and some nurses.
Great job, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate it being here every year. I think these guys definitely turn out because they know you're here, and so we get the messaging out to more people. So it's really important.
Definitely appreciate the partnership.
Sure. Well, I don't know where you get all these toys, but this is, I was going to use this one too. This is probably a little more.
Thank you. One holiday season to
You too. Take care.
I mean, whatever you think.
Are those small magnets, Senator?
Yeah,
Is that what those are?
these are tiny magnets.
Thank you, sir. Happy Thanksgiving.
Those are really small.
football year next year.
One of these.
Yeah, I know.
Magnets.
I don't think it'd be hard to not swallow.
Another event now.
Thank you.
Get ready for the next couple of days.
I just let you
Have a good holiday.
Have a great holiday.
You too. Take care of yourself.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too.
Oh, sure. Take care. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, I will have a good holiday.
Yeah. Magnets.
Thank you so much.
This is,
He asked me yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Some talking.
And security.
Yeah, because we're going out that way.
Want us to bring it down to the
Thank you, sir. Have a great holiday, guys.
But she had just left. I said,
Thank you.
and Jane sent me an email.
Oh, good, I tried. I'm getting better.
Just
I'm more comfortable.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, right, yeah, it's the same thing. Same things. Yeah, I wish I didn't have to read as much. It would have been nice if I could not have to look down. Yeah.
One page or two.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. It gives you your prompts.
So when I looked up and looked down,
You know what you're doing.
Exactly. And then, like, we want to pull in those aspects, and I'm like, hold on.
Good, yeah.
stuff like that.
We're a trained person. So,
Yeah.
There's an art to that for sure, but you both use that.
Yeah. Usually I do that, too. I try not to have one.
likewise.
There wasn't a lot.
Thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving.
I was like, we'll talk soon. And it was like one of the things, I'm like,
So
I
we're,
gotta like.
Thank you. I know this was a quick, so they don't have presents in Connecticut anymore. Yeah, so it was, so I'll tell you, I don't know. So normally the way this works is Concord reaches out to Kevin, Kevin reaches out to Monica, we do all of this, and we're talking like weeks in advance. I'll tell you, it hadn't even occurred to me that I hadn't heard anything about this. And, Evan, who is a member of the Senators team, emailed me on Thursday and was like, hey, can we do this? And I was like, oh, wait, what? So, and they were trying simultaneously to reach out to PIRG because they usually hear from them. And as I was sort of checking availability and stuff, I was reading back out to it. But we still want to do it, so, which is great. And I mean, so I was like, okay, well, we usually have the Concord person sort of doing the detail. So, you know, you cover the detail and you do the, you know, physician perspective, we can still do this. But yeah, I was totally surprised. I was like, I don't even. Was it like the last couple of years? Wasn't it like a shared Massachusetts Connecticut thing or something? They had like a bi-state. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So it yeah. Well, I am glad we were early.
Hey, how are you? We even had trouble. Do you need a demo with anything, like someone to hold something?
Sure.
Okay, I can help. Tell me what to do.
Show me a balloon if you want.
The balloon?
No, no, no.
Do you want like a pop it?
Sure.
Okay. Which one?
I've never seen that this time.
I would, yeah, because it's, I mean, that seems kind of crazy.
Every state has.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, story. I was on the board
We got my pen.
years ago, they were all doing that. And then the structure numbers of the band get one something called the fund. And all their fundraising back then,
You know, it's like, hold it up.
Massachusetts about a fund. In the short term, it was a great idea, saved expenses, everything else. But what it did was, it took away the locality of each one at the state level first, and over time it just eroded them.
Excuse me 1 second, guys. Oh. Okay. Thank you. Resume, sorry. Would you mind showing me a few more things?
Sure.
And then I'll get out of here.
Okay.
That was such a hard job.
One includes button batteries.
Just trying to get people to sort of buy into it.
I mean, I will say.
You can see where the kids could take them out here. tiny, tiny choking hazards.
Hold those up there for 1 second.
These are marked as 3 and up too. So
I remember
they're
standing there in the cafeteria.
okay giving these to 3-year-olds if anything.
Yeah, it sounds like on the package. And the claws, do they fire? Yeah, that I got already.
Okay, so the
They shoot?
claws, you could take, they're pretty sharp. You could sort of do a lot of damage to somebody's eye with one of these.
Yeah, they're a little too early.
I think with these two, there's a strobe light, so not good for kids who have light sensitivity.
You could use it after on Thanksgiving for shredding apart
I
turkey.
know.
Maybe after you're done.
Pulled pork, all
I
that
think I
stuff.
did. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
Oh, would you hold up the gun?
Sure.
No, just move it right.
You guys, I haven't so much.
Those really small pellets, yeah, which hurt somebody, but also if you swallow and all that good
And
stuff.
it's got the red tip on it, but it's not, it looks as much like a real gun as
Oh, yeah.
they could probably make it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.